cabinet resign with his too much greedy for him to hold on to power right up to 15th of February for 2024. We move away from that paper to Info Martin for this morning. Info Martin report on the prices of refined petroleum products. In the paper reports on the subvention of the state that is always there, according to the Minister of Trade, Luke Maragwa Branga Atanganang. This one follows the 6 cabinet ministers who held a press conference 2 days ago in Yaoundé. We move away from that paper to Mutation for today. It talks of the mandate of the governor of the Central Bank of Beyak. It talks of the noise at Beyak. What's it all about? You can find details on page 7 on Mutation of Thierry Diaga for today. Bamenda 2 subdivision. The DO of Bamenda 2 gets freedom after one night in the separatist captivity in Donga Mantung division. We talk on post and telecommunication sector in the country. It talks of the balance sheet of 2023 and prospects for 2024 according to the Minister of Post and Telecommunication, Minette Libong Lilike. We move over to Lojrapol of Karol Tamba. Reports of Bamenda 2 DO get freed from the separatist abduction. You can find more on that said paper for today. And the paper reports on the start of promoters who are in a social revolution. Get to read more on that paper for this morning. Let's make a stopover with the next publication for today. That is Défi Actuel. Défi Actuel reports on the projection of the banking sector by the BGFI Bank, who comes out with 120 billion CFA francs as result for 2024. We take you to digitalization. Orange Cameroon engages in this favor of digitalization in Cameroon with the Cameroonian youth. And promotion, MTN Cameroon gets a new board chair in the person of Ebenezer Esoka. You can find more on page 7 on that publication of Défi Actuel. We move over to the high rate of unemployment with the youth in Cameroon as they celebrate their Youth Day this Sunday, 11th of February 2024. We move over to the next publication for this morning. That is La Meteo. La Meteo for this morning talks of super gazole kerosene. The paper says Sonara. The paper reports on Sonara lays or to be arranged in no distant time so as to make sure that the hydrocarbon products are visible. This one was the outing of the Minister of Energy and Water Resources, Gaston Elundu Usumba, who was speaking to Cameroonians as he joined his 5 other peers cabinet ministers to speak on the fuel increase in the country by the government of Cameroon. We move over to The Voice. The Voice for this morning talks of Professor Kelly Moua deciphers Cameroon's fuel price surge. Get to read that story on The Voice newspaper of Randy Josa for this day. In answer, The Voice paper abducted en route to Kambe. Bamenda 2 Dio, I beg your pardon, Savo Sweet Freedom from Amber Dane. And in that said paper, marathon visit to Yaoundé, TV6 Mont Bigot and Epote apologizes to Cameroon's flag misuse. We move away from Randy's paper of The Voice. We make a stop over with the Guardian, the Post. The Post for today from Boya says succession at Itsudi, Cameroonians must resist any attempt to set aside constitution. That is from Dr. Simon Munzu, former UN Under Secretary General. Get to read that story on that said paper. Cameroonian cultural artifacts in Western countries shouldn't be repatriated, according to Professor Paul Kui, who is an anthropologist and sociologist, speaking there to the Post newspaper for today. We take you to something else. The paper reports on after increase in fuel prices, salaries expected to rise as government dialogue with trade unions. You get to read that story of the paper of late Francis Wache for this day. We take you to another post, this time around with the Guardian Post for this morning. It reports on controversy over freedom from amber captivity. Bamenda 2 Dio contradicts governor. You can find more on the paper of the Guardian Post for this day. AIBDP projects. The paper reports on Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development Development Gabriel Bairobi, Lord's achievement calls for more work to be done. Ahead of the 58th edition of the National Youth Day, Kumba Oban, Member of Parliament, Talbot Lawson, salute Bia's youth empowerment strides. And in that said paper of the Guardian Post for this morning, it says Bia authorizes recruitment of some 150 varsity lecturers into the universities of Garwa, Betwa, and Ebulova respectively. We take you to another English language daily for today from Cameroon. That is municipal updates. Municipal update of Victor Bamacham for this morning says after flag gap, TV sang months bus on bended knees before authorities in Yaoundé and kidnapped Bamenda 2DO regains freedom. We move over to this other one that says as 8th steering committee meeting of the Agriculture, Infrastructure and Value Chain Development Project AIVDP, the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Gabriel Bairobi, salutes the strides made by the set developmental outlet based in the southwest region. Yaoundé Smalin Highway government programs additional sum of 8.3 billion CFA francs to complete phase 1 of that express road. We move over to economy for today. The economy for this morning talks of the government of Beyak. It says the end of the mandate and tension that is mounting over there at the Central Bank of Central African State, known in French as BEA. Subvention to petroleum-related products and domestic gas. The paper reports on the state of Cameroon, who disburses the sum of 63.6 billion CFA francs in 2024, I beg your pardon, as subvention to the price increase of petroleum-related products in the country. Let's move over to The Nation in Lagos. The Nation reports on creative industry leaders reject ministers' African Grammy plan. Get to read that story on page 4. And EFCC clamped down on firm for issuing invoices in US dollars. And Oyo gives 460 million naira to 1,407 farmers in economic recovery plan. World Bank comes out with 15 billion US dollars for 30 projects to be realized in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And the Super Eagles of Nigeria are into the finals of the AFCON 2024 in Ivory Coast. We move over to another Nigerian tabloid for this morning. That is a Punch. The Punch for today says Forex crisis. EFCC 7,000-man task force goes after dollar racketeers. Get to read that story on the Punch for this day. Tinubu inaugurates a student loan scheme for February 21. And 500,000 jobs are threatened over ban on sachet alcoholic drinks in Nigeria. And we move over to this one. Government approved delays on Dangote refinery for projects. You can find more on that paper of the Punch newspaper for this morning. Viewers, I think we'll be moving over to Vanguard for this day. Vanguard says Super Eagles of Nigeria soar into AFCON finals. You can find more on that paper of Vanguard from Abuja for today. And that's a Vanguard paper. Insecurity in northwest Nigeria. Kaduna governor blames poverty, hopelessness, and others to the rising insecurity in the northwest part of Nigeria. We will open reserve to address food crisis. That is what the federal government of Nigeria speaks on page 30 on Vanguard paper. Court orders federal government to fix prices of petroleum, diesel, and others within 7 days. Get to read that story on Vanguard from Abuja for this day. We come back to Cameroon with Lusapol of Karotamba. He says the DO for Bamenda 2 Council regains freedom after he was abducted by separatists in the northwest region. And we move over to the next paper for today. That is Matanda. The paper reports on the 71st edition of the JIT. It says Bamenda takes the light. Get to read that paper or that story on that paper for today. The city mayor of Douala talks of the accounts that he has rendered to the services rendered over there in the National Economic Hub of Douala. We move over to The Guardian. The Guardian from the UK says revealed Mon told government she wouldn't benefit from PPE deal. And in that said paper of the Guardian, Brightina Gale's father condemns Sunak's dehumanizing trans jeb. Get to read that story from the UK. We move over to the Times. The Times says Putin's spy infiltrated Britain's intelligence. You can find more on that paper of the Times. From London, who cares about 3 Michelin stars? That's a question you can find on page 5 on that publication for this morning. We take you now to I for today says Viagra linked to reduce risks of Alzheimer's. So you can find that health story and the benefit of Viagra drug according to I newspaper from the UK. And M6, the British intelligence agency, helping to prepare secret UK dossier on Trump 2.0. Get to read a story on that said paper of I for this day. We move over to the next next international tabloid for this morning. That is Daily Telegraph. Daily Telegraph talks of migration won't solve UK from debt crisis, and in that said paper, security fears as top cabinet official quit to work in the UAE. We wrap up with this one that talks of have sold a monstrous deception. That is according to Alistair Head. Get to read that story on that said paper. Let's wrap up the program with the last publication on our disposal for this morning. The last paper for today is Defi Actual. It talks of the bank known as BGFI Bank, who says 120 billion CFA francs have been put in place in 2024 in making sure the Cameroonian economy keeps on striving more brighter. Viewers, with Defi Actual, this is what we'll stop on this first part of the program, but do not go anywhere as we'll be back with our reviewer to talk us through the second part of the program as he is here right seated with us. Hey there viewers, if you are just joining us, we are on to Press Brief, and this is the second part of the program reserved for our reviewer. Our reviewer for this morning is Joseph Epierre, who is a journalist practicing in one of the leading gospel radio stations in the Southwest region. Good morning to you, Epierre, and you're welcome to the program.
Good morning to Larry and to all our viewers out there. It's a fine Thursday morning. Wish them all the best today.
All right, we start this this second part with the first paper for today, The Horizon. The Horizon report on abducted Bamenda Dio free.
It does something which Cameroonians are asking questions. How can the person who is termed to be the most secured person in the division get kidnapped and who then is saved? That's a big question, and his release is still under suspicion because according to the governor says he was being released while he said he escaped. So I think that particular saga
he was being freed by the defense and security forces in the words of Adolphe Lilafrique.
To him, he fled or he left. He escaped. So I think that's something which Cameroonians are still wanting to ask themselves questions, that how can some of that particular caliber get kidnapped if they what about those who don't have security men walking around them? So I think that's a big question which we need to ask questions to the government.
Okay, we remember with Anglophone crisis, it says George Chumbonga replies to no, we don't take that one. We move over to this other one, that for price increase. Akere Muna raises pertinent questions on Sonara and Glencore scandal. We have a situation, billions of CFA francs and millions of US dollars was being misused as a result of corruption and corruption in the Sonara, and we have this scenario of fuel increase, prices in fuel increase in Cameroon. Akere Muna is quite preoccupied. Why this Glencore Sonara issue is still swept under the carpet as the government has maintained her silence?
For sure, this is something which we are asking questions like, why should the government stay silent? Nowadays, you can't walk freely in Cameroon without you spending something higher on your transport fare. And we have Sonara, which is a state-owned company. We expected them to come to the Cameroon at a time like this. But I think this is something which I always ask, where is the place of a consumer in Cameroon? are they quiet because they always speak for the masses and make their voices being heard? So now can't do everything by themselves. So if at all money given by USA has been sidefold or better still misused, then the government must come in place, and Akari Mona is doing a great job. But we need to ask questions to the government, because being silent is another form of taking responsibility of what they've been accused of.
I can imagine. Okay, we remember that paper of the horizon this time around with this visit of the Director General of the African Development Bank, Nigerian born Odayemi, who was in Cameroon. As he says, he is quite satisfied with the corporation balance sheet of the African Development Bank project that gave Cameroon this project for massive construction of infrastructures like roads and other amenities. He met with the Minister of Economy, Planning and Regional Development, Alamin Usman May, and that of Finance, Louis Paul Motaze. Nigerian born Director General of African Development Bank is quite satisfied.
Well, I think that's based on him, because Cameroonians are the ones to tell you if they're okay or not, because they're the ones in the field, and if it didn't go to the field to check if at all what the money was being given for actually executed a tax, then I think that should be a question that we need to ask ourselves. But now, if he says he's okay with it, what is the duration and what is the lifespan of the construction work that has been done? Will it be something that will last for 2 or 3 months or 2 or 3 years? That's a question which Cameroonians will be asking, because durability and sustainability is what we want in this country.
Okay, let's move over to La Météo Sport. La Météo Sport newspaper for today says African Cup of Nations 2023, Côte d'Ivoire comes out with a magical performance. The team that was almost relegated during the group stages comes strong as she is making it to the finals of the 34th edition of the African Cup of Nations.
Like a friend of mine always tells me, never say dying until the bones are rotting. No one saw Abicos coming out of the group stage. They had to pray for a miracle, and that was given to them. They defeated Senegal and went now and they're up to the finals. I think it's an inspiration for other teams in the world. Like the coach who came in had little or no time to build the team. They've been able to push them right up to the final of the AFCON to face Nigeria. So I think this is a story not just about Ivory Coast alone, but for us to be able to believe in ourselves, because I believe these guys are playing for pride, for honor. Yeah. And we are seeing what happened today in Ivory Coast, a country that many people never had hope in of coming out of the group stage. Today they are in the finals. That's African football for you, full of surprises and full of history-making events. Alright,
with a coach like Emes Fa, he's just 37 years old. And he came at the neck of time when Ivory Coast was almost relegated during the group stages. And he came out with the miraculous touch as he made the Elephants of Côte d'Ivoire, being the king of the jungle or the king of the forest, as they made it through this stage of the final. So with a question that I want to pose here, what was the result? What was actually a push or factor of this coach Emes Fa, who actually came out with such technicalities in making sure that Côte d'Ivoire shouldn't just end at the quarterfinals, but should go a while further towards the end of the tunnel, that is the finals. And I for one, I am seeing Côte d'Ivoire clean on the trophy come the 11th of February, this Sunday, as the last team that won the AFCON that she hosted and won, it was Egypt. I think, if my memory doesn't fail me, it should be 26. Yes, 2006. So shouldn't we see another repetition of Cairo in Abidjan or Yamoussoukro?
Well, Larry, the Ivory Coast spectacular so far has 2 factors.
Okay.
First, the players believe in themselves.
Yeah.
They can do it, and their role model in coach Drogba is giving them support backstage. Something which I believe every African team is dying for at this stage of the competition. We see what's happening with the Okochas in Nigeria, Samuel Eto'o in Cameroon, the Diop in Senegal. So I think these big boys playing a role behind is also counting, because the coach coming to take over this dying team and helping them to reach the finals of the AFCON. I bet you see the fighting spirit in these guys, because they're fighting for honor, for prestige, for their country. Can they make their fatherland proud in front of their own home crowd after more than 20 years of hosting the AFCON? It comes once a year. So what will you do? And they are writing their own name in the history, and they're choosing the ink which they want to write in. And I think this coach, young and the way he's going, like you said, I believe Ivory Coast may just win the 10th AFCON on Sunday.
And I'm praying for that and wish them well as they are my in-laws. One of my other sister got married to an Ivorian though. So we move over to something else. We come back to Cameroon with Cameroon Insider. Cameroon Insider of Marie Claire Nana for this morning says increase in fuel pump prices. 6 cabinet ministers detail buffer measures by the government of Cameroon, according to the paper of Marie Claire Nana for this morning.
Larry, like I said before, the prices are not in Cameroon. When things go up, they don't come down again. So the question is, who are those who suffer the most? The common man. And what is the place of the consumer in Cameroon? That I don't know, because they are the ones who take this matter to the government. That the people can't afford it. You can't move from Monaco to Benin if the normal pay. It has increased, and everything is going higher and higher every day in the market and in commodities. So I think that taking the matter to the government is good, but what the people actually want is for there to be a change. When we keep complaining over and over, there is no change, there is a problem. Sure. So the government must actually see that the people's voice needs to be heard, and if the parliament can't speak now, then I doubt their existence in the country.
Okay, we remain with Cameroon Insider. This time around, we talk Youth Day celebrations that will be coming up this Sunday, the 11th of February. It says Paul Biya to address nation next Saturday over the weekend.
Well, Larry, you and I know that is something normal. On the 31st and the 10th of February, he always speaks to his children and to the nation in general. Now, Cameroonians youths have a lot of things in their mind, and they want job creation, they want opportunities. I think they were expecting something more from him. The last time he said he created over a good number of jobs for the Cameroonians. So I think this time maybe there will be again another revelation of what they have been able to do for the past few years or for the past few months. But I think as a father and as someone who has a country has had, he will be looking to give his children some kind of hope and some kind of encouragement, especially with our schools today having these violence acts of being attacked. So I think that's one of the key points to be addressing come Saturday.
Okay, we talk on the major rehabilitations of the airport in Tico, Betwa, Kribi. It says rehabilitation begins this year, 2024, according to the paper of Marie Claire Nana. That is Cameroon Insider on page 7.
Well, if wishes for a horse is dangerous to ride. It's true they have said it will start this year.
Yeah.
Can it start this year? That is the question. Because with all the hearing promises of they will. My grandmother always told me when someone tells you they will, forget about the person. So I think it is only going to be reality when they start the work and continue to the end. Because we are used to this syndrome of starting a project, then you end halfway, and you say either a crisis or a conflict. So I think that for us to actually be assured that there is going to be that job or that project come to pass, they need to actually take it right to the end and hand it over to the people.
Okay, we talk on Mita Siong for this morning report on the mandate of the governor of the Central Bank of Central African States, BEAC. He says the noise from BEAC as there is a lot of polemic surrounding the mandate of the governor of that central bank, as there are some persons they are claiming that he or the person in charge shouldn't his term is getting towards the end, or should he be sidelined and a new person come to mount over the governorship of the Central Bank of BEAC, according to Mitasion.
Larry, I always tell you that power does not consume you totally. Rather, power brings out your real nature. So being at the helm of the president or in charge of BEAC, I believe this man has been able to hold the big boys. He has been able to see the money which comes with being the leader of a particular institution. And leaving now will be like you are moving bread from my mouth. So you may hear of things like extending the mandate or not wanting to go in for not wanting to resign. Show that there is power in this thing. The same with Senegal, which we will discuss in a couple of minutes from now. So it's about the power. The power syndrome in Africa is something which we can actually not limit to Cameroon, but it cuts across everywhere, be it in our classroom, in our offices. We all want this power, we want to stay in it.
Okay, let's take you now to municipal updates. Municipal updates talks of after flag gap. It says TV Sengmon boss on bended knees before authorities in Yaoundé. We are talking of Eve because who was accompanied to the nation Cameroon by the director of marketing, sales, and distribution, Cameroonian born Denis Epote of that French television network known as TV Sengmon.
Well, Larry, something which we expected in Cameroon, you know that it's that you are being suspended or you are being banned, and that was a big error on their part. I don't know if it was something intentional or a mistake, but I think going to the governor or going to the minister to actually lay their complaint is something which they need to do, because you never can tell what may be the decision of the government tomorrow against them, and clearing their name and giving their face a good lead in front of the government could actually be a plus to the existence in Cameroon. You mean that we are used to the issue of banning or suspending of media organs in Cameroon? I think CVSEN is one of those organs that Cameroonians in the French part actually rely on information, and if it is being banned or suspended, it may actually hamper the economy and also their visibility. So going to appeal or appease the government is very important this time.
Okay, Yaoundé Simalen Highway talks of government program additional CFA France 8.3 billion to complete phase 1 of the Yaoundé Simalen Highway. We have an express route of this nature that has taken quite longer than expected. It's more than 10 years ever since we started hearing of this set road project, but now they say the government is coming out to give in additional 8.3 billion CFA francs. The question that I asked, and many Cameroonians of goodwill, what happened to the previous colossal sum of money that was put in place into this road project? As we know, a kilometer of road in Cameroon is more costly than it's done in Ivory Coast, Nigeria, Ghana, or Sierra Leone.
Larry, I think is Cameroon living on a well on its own? When Cameroon, this is so expensive, it has to do with public projects. Is that look at the Olympic Stadium in Yaoundé? It took billions of pounds and up to the story completed. They sit now on the Simalen Highway. So the question is, are there some people who are benefiting from this particular projects? Because how can you tell me over 8.3 billion is to be given? This money which can tie almost the whole of Boya. But because some people believe that they must enjoy the national cake until they are full, I bet you this money you will still hear in 2 or 3 years that the money is not enough. The government wants to still give, and it's still the taxpayers' money. That's what is paying, because the taxpayer pays the money. You can't enjoy good lights, good road, good water, and even food is expensive, because we expect things that okay, our money is being used. May we have a good infrastructure? We don't see it. So I think everything rises and falls on the government, but the masses keep on suffering.
Okay, we'll take you to Yaoundé with the Guardian Post. The Guardian Post for this morning: controversy over freedom from amber captivity. Bamenda 2DO contradicts Governor Lele Lafrique Adolphe of the Northwest region.
A friend of mine always tells me he was a shooter in Pinches.
Okay.
He was kidnapped. Will tell you best how he escaped or how he left. Is it true escape or was he fled? I think if there is a controversy between the governor and the DO, then it is something for us to ask ourselves questions. Who is saying what? Who was really kidnapped? It was really a kidnap, because I don't expect there to be a controversy between this whole saga, because the person is Cameroon are not happy that a person of caliber is being kidnapped, and then we don't get to know how he's been fled. And now what happens to the other pipe that we kidnapped with him? We still don't know about the way about up to date. So I think is a question is a controversial issue that Cameroonians are asking questions. If he was being afraid, what happened to the other 5 persons? Are they not important? So if the government is speaking to people, I think they should be able to give the people facts, not giving them half of the story.
All right, Epia, we stay with that thematic area of the kidnap or freed of the deal for Bamenda 2 subdivision. Editorial of the Guardian Post says, "Who safe after guarded deals?" It says, "Who safe when guarded deal are kidnapped?" That's a question the Guardian Post is asking on her editorial.
A big question. If a man working with the armor car security is being kidnapped, what about you and I, Larry, that work and pay taxes? I tell you, there's no hope for us. So that's a big question. And again, I ask the question: if the DO was being freed according to the governor, what happens to that 5 persons? Were they unreachable? Did they not succeed? And what is their fate as of now? So I think it's a big question. And Because up to date we don't know who kidnapped them, because they we only hear rumors of alleged or supposed. So I think that we need to know who kidnapped them and why the other persons were not being like the deal was released.
The deal say he escaped.
He escaped, so the other person couldn't escape. Big question.
He's a smart guy. He's a smart guy, if I must put it that way. All right, we remember the Guardian Post this time around. Let's talk something else. Paul Biya authorizes recruitment of 150 varsity lecturers into the University of Garwa, Garwa, Ebolowa, and Betwa.
Well, created just over, I think, a period of 3 years now, new universities in the country. I think they actually need these lecturers. And Cameroon, we are having many PhD holders who are doing it or nothing. Some are still lecturers, mostly here in UB. So I think with the recruitment or with this open check given to them, we're going to see them being employed. But now the question is it going to be first come first, is it going to be on meritocracy or on tribalism? Because Cameroon, we are used to this syndrome of I know this person, so it should be here. So I think it's a good platform. But the question now or the worry is those who are in charge, those who are doing the recruitment should actually give those who are meritorious of it for them to actually keep, because knowledge, like I always say, is something which should be passed judiciously to the next generation.
Okay, let's move over to Quotidien Emergence. This time around, the paper reports on heads of enterprises in Cameroon on the moral rearmament. That is something that is quite at the bay, according to that paper of Quotidien Emergence.
Larry?
That is heads of enterprises in Cameroon on moral rearmament, which is something it's moral upbringing or moral rectitude in the country, something that is not it's quite lacking.
For sure, most of our enterprises lack the moral. You walk into an office, someone just sits in Zuma game, putting a coffee, they don't care about you. And I think their moral consciousness needs to be reawakened. So if these chiefs are actually telling you, because I think morality is something which goes across every field of office that we own in this world. So there should be that education of them to actually treat their consumers or their fellow customers with that care, moral upbringing, and treating them as fellow human beings. Not tomorrow come to your office and you are relaxed and you don't care. So it's a good move, because we need morality in a country like Cameroon today. Okay,
let's cross over to next door. La Meteo newspaper for this morning reports on the super gazole and kerosene. It says Sonara will be arranged so as to address the hydrocarbon inadequacies. This is the statement from the Minister of Water Resources and Energy, Gaston Elundu Isomba, who was among 5 other cabinet ministers who spoke to Cameroonians last 2 nights in Yaoundé in this press conference.
It is always a normal thing from him. He always puts a hope that they will, but we don't see it. And now we are hearing over money being given and not being used judiciously. Now, how will Sonara come to the aid of Cameroonians in giving us super and crazy? I think it's a big question, and I really don't see it. Yes, and I really don't see it coming to pass this early, because Sonara is still undergoing some research and some reconstructions. So I think the best thing for us to do now is to reduce the taxes. The taxes are becoming so high. Let it become high and consumers can't consume, and it becomes something very difficult for us. So the government is struggling to give us the best, but I think the approach we are using is not the best.
Okay, let's move over to Boya with the post. The post of late Francis Wache says, was Samuel Eto'o fees genuine in resigning as Fecafoot president? That's a question the Post newspaper is asking for this morning, after the set resignation letter from Samuel Eto'o fees was denied or rejected by the executive body of Cameroon FA.
The question I always ask when I go to this is like, did Samuel Eto'o say I want to resign or I have resigned? Because I don't see someone saying I want to resign and then they beg him not to stay.
No, he tendered his resignation letter.
Larry, that was not something done officially. If you want to resign, do it officially. You're not asking them. It is your choice. It is your life.
Well, he didn't ask. He tendered his letter.
Even if you say no, you have the right to say I don't want to. You won't be held for that. Really? So the fact that Samuel Eto'o is like he wanted to just create that particular news.
Boss.
Yes. Because I see no reason why they will say no, but you want to go, you still stay there. So if I thought it was something intentionally, then he would have left the door and then it would have been told openly. Even though we're hearing rumors that it is a fake story, but I believe that for it to come out on all social media handles, it is something authentic.
Oh, it's authentic, of course, it's not fake. And we remain with the post for this morning. After increase in fuel prices, salaries expected to rise as government dialogue with trade unionists.
Salaries expected to rise by who? That is the next question. Will the government give the money, and how will the money be generated? Because we are always using that the salaries will rise and the cost of living is going high every day. The market things are no longer as it used to be in the years. You can walk freely and go to Boya town will not pay your half. So who is going to increase the money? And I still say this: if the government wants to ensure there is increase in salaries for civil servants and private workers, then taxes should be reduced on every business. Because if I'm paying a tax of, let's say, ₦1 million to you, I won't pay my workers well. So taxes should be reduced, because tax is in Africa as it stands now,
and Cameroon in particular. Okay, let's make a stop over with the point. The point for today talks of the liberation of Marafa Amidou Yaya, one-time minister of territorial administration and decentralization, and he has occupied several ministerial positions in Cameroon. The paper reports on the interference regarding this one from France, as former French President François Hollande was bent that Paul Biya should actually release the former minister. Marafa Amidou Yaya.
Marafa has been in Kondingi for a long period of time now, and I think with, for example, Hollande coming to see he must have seen his word. I believe Mr. Pepper is a man that we know him has a good heart. He has that fatherly compassion that can actually say, okay, you have suffered long, I give -5 years to your imprisonment. Maybe that's the message Johan is passing to him, that use your right as a president, your powers, and so you can get these guys out of prison because they are old. It is true they did something which was bad, but I think maybe they have served their punishment for a long period of time, and giving them that period of grace that okay, -5 or -10 years could be a plus on their lifespan.
Okay, the standoff between customers of Enyo and her customers continues, as Enyo says she too is increasing prices of electricity tariff of the set establishment, as the government is doing hers, everybody is doing his. Do we live in a nation now where it's like do what pleases you, do me or do you, as they say in Pidgin?
Well, Larry, you won't blame me that much, because Cameroon have this monopoly syndrome. They're the only ones giving us power in Cameroon. I think if we have 2 or 3 other companies giving us power, Enyo will not make sure a statement, because we have no choice now, and not everyone can fund or can sponsor a generator in his or her house. So I think this is an outright call for the government to see how they can actually sign other partnership, or why not use our own engineers in Cameroon to see how we can have power in Cameroon. It could be solar, it could be the same power from lakes or dams, but I think we need other sources of power in this country, because Enyo will do as it pleases, because they also need their money. It's about business. So if they're only one giving us power and see that the government increasing their own, they will do the same to us Cameroon. And like I said, will a common man will be the one to suffer at the end of the day.
All right, we'll move away from the Enyo story. We talk something else with Kame Press. Kame Press newspaper for this morning talks of Cameroon and the automatic toll gates. The paper reports on the rapture. The paper went further to say, in a country where we don't have goods roads but we have automatic toll gates, is this something that was quite necessary according to that paper? What do you have to say to the automatic toll gates of Cameroon, as according to Kame Press for today?
For sure, automatic everywhere. You go from Boya to Tico, you pass more than 4, and you set all the controls. And the toll gates, to me, the roads are not even as it used to be. Go to places like Nigeria, the toll gates are there because they ought to be there. Cameroon have small roads, they're not as wide as you expect them to be, and then you are paying money when you're going towards Tico to Douala, and you mean a toll gate, the path is too small for vehicles to come in. No, like Nigeria, you have more than 6 lanes to go freely. 7. So Cameroon is like we are instead giving money to where we also give the money, because if they are the toll gates where we have the roads, I think it will be okay. Because you're paying toll gates for where you have just 2 lanes of road, and they are not even that flexible or free for vehicles to move as they ought to. So I think it's automatic the government and the Ministry of Transport must step into. It's either they build more roads or they reduce these toll gates in the country.
Okay, let's move over now to the voice. The voice of Randy Joseph for this day says Professor Kelly Moore deciphers Cameroon's fuel price surge. As an economist,
For sure, those who are doing economic and finance.
he gave a lot of negative effects towards that increase.
For sure, many people now will be used to checking. That clear that the truth. The people now check from either for me to check from a taxi when you pass to Bonagate because it is something which is very, very difficult. And don't be surprised that it may open the door for illicit fuel in Cameroon, and that may also destroy Cameroon's economy.
It has been there.
It has been there, but I think this time it will become more serious. We're going to Limbe is only official. Go to Limbe, the all over the place, and I bet you it may cross over to other towns in the country. So the government, why they go about giving their increase of fuel and everything, they should know that there is a reality market waiting to explore such opportunities, and will the government will see them suffer again. So I think the government, while they're going about the policy, they should have a second thought on it.
Okay, we'll move over to Maurice Kamto, the president of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement Party, who spits fire on the fuel price jump in Cameroon. You know, Maurice Kamto is always noted for his outspoken mindedness when it comes to issues that have to do with borderland Cameroon. But with this one that concerns the fuel price increase, he says is unacceptable.
For sure, he will always be able to speak out vocally without anyone hearing anyone. So I think, like Maurice Kamto, Cameroonians have realized that this thing is not helping them at all, because we are the ones who are suffering, not the government. The government, their cars, you are seeing them in the fuel station, but you and I will go and stand in a long queue and our cars refueled. So I believe that Cameroonians need, and like I said, the consumers' right must step up to this, because they can't be the voices to the consumers and then discuss on every matter. So if they remain quiet, the government will think the people are okay with it, which I bet you the people are not okay with it. Just take your microphone and go and ask for audio, tell you they're not okay with it, because they spend more while the income is less. So I think this is something which the Cameroonians must join their voices with that of political like the Kamto to say their mind out.
Okay, we move over to Abuja with Vanguard. Vanguard for today. Super Eagles saw into AFCON finals, beat plucky South Africans 4-2 on penalty shootout over there at the Stade de la Paix in Bouaké, Ivory Coast.
Well, from defeating Cape Verde yesterday, the like of Nigeria and South Africa, and Williams, many people expecting to play the same as the Cape Verde, was little short of what he did. And thanks Nigeria going to the final since 2013 again, Larry, I bet you Sunday will be something else out there in Cote d'Ivoire, because remember in 1984 they reached the finals and lost to Cameroon, and now again they're meeting the host nation with something that attaining since 2006 when Egypt reached the finals. So much stats between these two countries. Remember, Nigeria defeated Cote d'Ivoire in the group stage 1-0, and I think this particular Sunday will be something of fireworks.
Okay, we talk on Cameroon's news. Cameroon's news today talked on the fight against unemployment in the country. The Ministry of Public Health, headed by the minister himself, Manauna Malashi, and that of Public Service and Administrative Reform, Joseph Anderson Lay, signs this memorandum of understanding for medical practitioners to easily get absorbed into the public service. As we have seen, many health personnel have been having it hot when it comes to being enrolled on the government payroll.
Yeah, Larry, that's something very, very touching, because in Cameroon today, almost everyone who leaves high school is into nursing or into midwifery. That's something.
Even someone who did the arts or commercial.
Yeah, I have many of them that I teach. After what's your plan? I'm going to BIAC, I'm going to this one. They have the mindset of going to a nursing school. But now, what is the government doing to help these people come into the job market or into the enrollees? I think that's something which the government must have at the back of his mind, that these people actually need to find something doing, because if they don't, I bet you they will go into this roadside medication, which will not be the best for the health of the population. So I think enrolling them is a good thing, but how many will they absorb? So you go back to the same thing of help being self-employed, and that can come from government help in the Nigerian government is doing.
Okay, we come back to the governorship situation of the Central Bank of Central African State, BEAC, with emergence. This time around, emergence says the government of BEAC, it talks of the end of the mandate of tension. We have those two gentlemen that have been the governor, and the other one is the deputy. They don't agree on decision making, but now their mandate is coming to an end. But they said this end phase is coming with a lot of tension, according to quotidian economy, not emergence. Sorry for that mix up.
Yeah, when you have two top officials leading an institution, and they have any clashes prior to this time of the election or for the end of the mandate, ask yourself questions: what is the way forward after this? Would they be retained, or would the two of them leave, or is it a planned act for one to leave and another to continue? So I think it's a whole, that's politics for you, Larry, and I bet you from the way I'm seeing it, it's either one wants to stay and the other to go, and the way it may end, you may see either the deputy taking over from the governor.
Okay, as they say, it will end in tears. All right, we hope it will not end in tears. Let's make a stop over with quotidian Eco Sante reports on the district hospital of Efulani in the central region. It says personnel of the health sector engaged more with the universal health coverage scheme by President Paul Biya that was implemented by the Minister of Public Health, Manauna Malashi.
Yeah, we need health care in Cameroon at all levels, from our schools, families, out there. So I think if they are engaging with them, professionals who are into this particular issue of health is wealth, Larry.
Yeah.
So we must actually take care of our health, and the government must see that they sign this partnership, sign this memorandum with a particular institution so that they give quality health training to our students, so when they go out to the market, they become helpful and not dangerous.
Okay, remember the hot newspaper this time around with the elections that are upcoming at the helm of the World Health Organization, as Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus has come to the end of a mandate that he ran the World Health Organization, WHO, with headquarters in Geneva, Switzerland. But a lady, Emmanuel Saburian, says she wants to take over the World Health Organization top job as Director General.
Well, Larry, apart from being a Cameroonian, apart from being someone of the country, I always believe that it's good to give a stage when you are still being loved. So if he has been there for and has done his own part, rather than losing an election, which to me is very painful, I think it's better for you to say, this is my last mandate, I won't go again. Let somebody else come and try. And I bet you, in fact, can tell, you will even be loved and respected that when you lose an election. That's why I, for one, I hate election because it creates a mixture of rivals.
Yeah.
So I believe that leaving the state when we are still being loved, according to what Paul Kagame said some years back, is a good move for a person like that.
Okay, let's wrap up the program with the last paper for today. The international newspaper I says the drug Viagra linked to reduce risks of Alzheimer's. According to we all know Viagra drug how it is, but it says it helps to reduce the risks of Alzheimer's. According to that paper.
Is like you said, we all know it is, and also its effects. But the question is, who are those to take it? That's the question. Was it going to be Africans or Europeans? Because I know they use it on the guinea pigs and on their rats out there. So who is going to be that specimen that they're going to use it on? And I bet you Africans, like always, maybe the ones to contribute this.
Okay, we talk on the story of Donald Trump, the upcoming Republican flag bearer. According to Donald Trump, he says exclusive M16, that is a British intelligence agency, helping to prepare a secret UK dossier with Trump 2.0.
Yeah, Donald Trump, after losing the election, he has making news for the past few years and months, and many are expecting him to run for the next presidential election, which someone like me was very happy. Yes, like I'm happy if he goes for election and he wins again. But now, following the scandals which we saw some few months back and everything, I believe Donald Trump maybe, just maybe, could be good for elections.
All right, Joseph, with that paper from the UK, this is for the stop of this edition of the program. Thanks for coming.
Thanks so much, Larry.
And we hope when we knock on your door, you're going to be available.
hopefully.
As usual. All right, viewers of High Television, with that wise words and encouraging words from Joseph Epie, this is where we conclude today's edition of the program of Thursday, the 8th of February 2024. From me and the entire crew, is a blessed stay in the company of High Television as Press Brief is back tomorrow 9 a.m. West African time, GMT plus 1. Bye bye.